sure.
And we
are live. Good morning. And this morning, I have got the creator, co-founder of the Strong Wild Running Retreats. You've changed the name slightly. Chris MacPherson. Chris, how are you doing? I'm so happy you're coming to Skye to the festival. And thank you for your time this morning, because I realise you're in between mountain runs or wherever you are, whatever you're doing. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, Lilia. Yeah, it's good to see you and catch up. Yeah, I'm down in Buttermere just now, so down in the Lake District, just wrecking out some mountain routes for later in the year for some big races I'm doing in the Golden Trail Series. So the final, the UK final is actually here. It starts in Buttermere and it goes around all the famous fells in this area. So I'm not doing the whole route today, but I'm doing a bit. But so we changed the name to the Strong Healthy Running Weekend because it was the Wild Running Retreat before, and although that was great, it's just it didn't really explain in a punchy kind of way exactly what it's about. So what's it about? Is it about being wild and running about crazy? Yeah, it's a bit of that, but also it's mainly about being strong and healthy, because that's what allows us to be wild and free. You know, if we're not strong and healthy, then we can't be wild free runners. So that's kind of the idea there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Skye because that's an amazing place as well. I've not been in ages, so it's a great excuse to get up there.
Yeah. So listen, we'll talk a little bit about the retreat, but first of all, just talk about how you got into it, because you're a personal trainer, you're an athlete as well. So how did you get into all this?
So yeah, I've been into fitness for like as long as I can remember. But yeah, I've done personal training for a little bit, and yeah, I enjoy that as well. And a lot of that stuff is kind of encompassed in the running training that I do, because again, at the end of the day, we need to be strong. A lot of the biggest problem I see with runners is that they lack the strength. So a lot of them are good at enduring, so they can push themselves mentally for a long time. They've got good cardiovascular health, so they can perform for a long time on their feet. But then they end up with all these niggles and injuries, and the problem is that they're lacking a lot of strength there. So that's the strong part, and then that ties in with the health. The health is all the surrounding stuff like the nutrition, all the other bits and pieces that go into that. That you're more than aware of yourself, because you practice it and preach it too. But yeah, how did I get into the actual? So I suppose for me specifically, my favourite type of running is the mountain running, the fell running, the hill running, wild trails, and getting out into nature. I actually I can remember the first sort of time that I ran up a sort of significant mountain for me, which was Loch Brandy, just at the foot of the Cairngorms, and it was a day like today. It was bucketing down with rain, and I had like a t-shirt and a pair of shorts. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I just ran all the way to the top. And I think I got like the fastest time on the Strava thing, and I was like, oh, I didn't realise obviously I knew I was quite a fit, healthy person, but I didn't realise that I had that sort of potential for this sort of sport. So yeah, anyway, I got into racing, and then I found out how fun that is. Didn't think I'd ever be doing that. I've never been a competitive person in terms of like sports and stuff as a child. I never really liked competing. I never liked, I liked sports and I liked being active, but I preferred doing stuff more for myself, rather than a competitive environment. But that's evolved, and yeah, I suppose now I just want to help everybody else, have that experience of maybe they don't want to run up a mountain, but even if it's just being able to run around the park and feel good doing it, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think when I obviously when you did, I think your very first wild running retreat, I was doing the food for you, and then and also I was driving, so I drove some of the people that were there over because we went to Castle Sween. And so I was there kind of by default more than anything. It was a beautiful day. I made the picnic, set it all out, and then of course was just listening to what you were saying and going, I want to try that. And then of course you did the barefoot running across the beach, and I was absolutely, I was a fitness instructor since I was 18. So, as much as I don't do it now, I've still got that real passion about physical fitness. I'm just a lazy ass now since I got older. But I was like, well, this makes total sense. And then what I realised was obviously the two big takeaways was running without injuring yourself, which obviously we know if you're doing a lot of pounding in the wrong shoes, over dodgy terrain, etc., you can actually do more harm than good to the body. Maybe cardiovascular you'll benefit, but your ankles, your knees, etc. So that was number one, was the safety of it. But then the other takeaway I had was the length of time you can run for without wanting to stop. That was the other thing, because obviously the technique was so ergonomically clever and also quite obvious. I mean, you find a lot of the time that when I'm talking to people now, it's so obvious and it's so simple, but nobody's pointed it out before. That was the two main things I got from that retreat. And I didn't do a lot of your runs with you, so obviously I missed a lot of it. But for that alone, I was like, this is everybody needs to know this. Kids need to know about this. And especially running on the sand, which was just so joyful in so many other ways. Because obviously you're getting the free flow of electrons, you're getting your meridians cleared out. It's just feels good. It's reflexology. And then you're out in the daylight. There's just so many good things going on there that I was like, we need to get the word of this out, and that's why I'm so happy that you're coming to the festival, and there's going to be 100 people there that, like me, probably didn't know anything about being strong when you're running, being safe when you're running, and being able to run for longer without utilising any more energy. I mean, it's just genius, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I remember, yeah, you've done really well, actually, because you picked it up, like, pretty much, whether that's I don't know if it's your personal training background, or maybe because you're used to being barefoot a lot anyway, whereas a lot of people, you tell them to kick their shoes off. First of all, a lot of people have a lot of resistance with this. I run these strong, healthy running challenges all the time, a free challenge that people can join. And one of the first things I do is I tell them to kick off their shoes and try and have a little run. And I tell you, at least...
100 quid shoes.
Yeah, I have at least a 50% on average of people who are like, I'm not doing that. Sometimes they have a reasonable excuse, like it's really cold and snowing, or there's not a safe place to do it. But let's face it, they're just excuses at the end of the day, because there's always somewhere you can do it. So my response usually is, if you've got a space in your house, maybe you could do it, like up and down the hall, because you don't need a big distance. Ideally, you want to go along the beach like we did. That's perfect place for it. But yeah, it's really like, it is that simple. Like you said, it's just about stripping it all back, go back to basics. The human body is designed to be able to run. We're actually all quite similar. When it comes to the actual physiology, we're all quite similar. So some people say, oh, I'm not a natural runner, I can't run. But it's actually because you've learned to run the wrong way. You've learned to make running really hard for yourself, partly because of the footwear, partly because of all the sitting, partly because of, just a lack of awareness of your body. So that's where, kick the shoes off and try it at home a little bit. For everybody that's listening to this, just, get used to being in your bare feet around your home, rebuild the strength in your feet and then your arches. That's the foundation. And then the body then strengthens upstream from that. Your calves get stronger, your quads, your hips, your glutes, everything else then gets stronger, and your core, which protects your spine, so prevents back injuries. So everything, it's all linked in to overall health. And then like you experienced it on the day, having somebody there, so anybody who is able to come along to any of the weekends or to the Sky Festival, anybody that's there, having somebody there just to give you a little bit of coaching cues on the side, just try leaning forward a little bit, or all right, we need to activate your glutes a little bit more because they've been inactive for whatever reason. Little bits and pieces like that really do help to then just speed up the process and get you back to, because we can all do it. We've all got the capacity to do it. But it's just about having somebody say, oh, you just need to switch something there. Oh, right. And then you're off, Yeah. But that was a great day. That was a great day on the beach. I remember actually I was feeling quite unwell, but
that's right.
But I just persevered, and but I'm so glad I did, because it was. I honestly think like you said there, getting barefoot on the ground and that is so good for your health. And I actually think just doing that and being in that environment with the community and everybody, and all the energy there, I think that actually sped up my recovery from whatever was going on with some, I don't know if I drank some dodgy water or ate something a bit risky or something, but
yeah, you really had quite a horrible week. So yeah, of course, that's what I found even doing the goddess gatherings. Guess who gets better after doing your own retreats? It's pretty cool. But the reason I wanted you to come along to the festival was, and to do this podcast, was because I mean, I wouldn't have looked at that retreat because the name, you know, and even strong, healthy running doesn't really explain what a phenomenal setup it is, because you've got loads of, you know, I think like everybody I talk to now, a real cross training and an understanding of all the things that are involved. And probably one of the biggest things is just getting off your backside and trying it. But I think, you know, anybody that's already running, anybody that's like, because the thing about running is it's free. You can fit it in. It's like going for a walk. You can fit it in. You've got young kids. If you're looking after aging parents, you can fit these things in by yourself anytime. You don't need to go to a class. Once you've been in one of your weekends, then you've got everything that you need to know, and then it's a case of you can just go out and do it yourself. I mean, often when the tide goes away out here in the Filkhead, I think about you should be having people out there on the stand, because I go out there in my bare feet pretty much every day. It's not too cold now, but I mean, we've got that in our Filkhead right in our doorstep. Do you know what I mean? And you very, very rarely see people utilising that phenomenal bit of land to just make yourself feel better. In 20 minutes, you know, it's not too big an ask. If you can do that, you know, 4 or 5 times a week, you're going to feel so much better, aren't you?
Exactly, yeah. And you hit the nail on the head there, because it's the simplicity of it. That's what I love about it so much. Like I've kind of toyed a little bit with triathlon and other sports, which are fun, but there's just nothing quite like the simplicity of running, because literally, like, you don't even need shoes. But yeah, most people probably kick on a pair of shoes of some sort, which we do cover on the retreats, and I'll talk about that a little bit as well. I'll bring some different shoes. Might surprise people a little bit with the footwear that I use. I've got quite a different broad range, so a lot of people think, like, I get this a lot, like, people think I'm like a barefoot runner or something. It's like, that's just a part of it. That is a you know, it's a back to basics tool, and it's a really powerful one. It's really important, actually. I think it's key. And if you look at all, like, the best runners in the world, they do barefoot running. Like, look at the Kenyans training. The Kenyans are out there. There's a really good, if anybody wants to watch something, I think it's really good anyway. It's the Golden Trail series. They've got a YouTube channel, and they've got a video, and I loved it, with I think it's like episode 3 of the latest one for this year. So it was last year's Golden Trail series, and the Kenyans were racing at one of the biggest mountain races, and I think they won. Yeah, the two of the Kenyans came first and second, ahead of Remy Bonnet, he's like one of the best in the world in that sort of sport as well. And they actually went out to Kenya and watched them train a little bit, and they're running around their sort of running track. It's a dirt road, basically. They're running around this barefoot, and it's just amazing. You see the way they move, and then they put shoes on. Like, most of them are sponsored by Nike, but they put shoes on. That the shoe then actually does support them. It gives them protection, and it gives them a little bit of support and a little bit of performance enhancement. But because they've ingrained the proper technique through all the barefoot practice they've done, because they've built the strength in their feet, and then they've built the strength in their bones, the connective tissue, the tendons, all the muscles and ligaments, that they're all so robust, and they're able to then, you know, run a marathon in 2 hours. Whereas most of us can't do that, partly because, there is a lot to that, but I think we can all do a lot more than we believe. It's just a case of, actually just bringing things back to basics and then relearning how to do it. But yeah, like, honestly, you said 4 or 5 times a week. Even if people got out 2 or 3 times a week, I think most people, to be honest, 2 or 3 times a week is way better than what they're probably doing right now. And like you say, the simplicity of it, and you're getting so many other little benefits if you do it barefoot as well. I would put a caveat, because I always say this when I'm talking about barefoot running, is build up very, very, very slowly with barefoot running. If you're not used to it, it's like you want a tiny, tiny, tiny amount, to begin with, and then you see how that body reacts. Wait a day, give it 24 hours, see how the body reacts, and then because your calves might like blow up, and then give it a bit of time, and then slowly transition. And if you want to, if you want to run marathons barefoot, go ahead. But maybe you just want to do it like I do. I just practice it a couple of times a week, just to keep myself really tuned in there. And it does. I do think it helps with performance massively, as well as health and longevity in running.
Yeah, and I think, we're always, from the Heal Scotland perspective, looking for things that are inclusive and free, and so that there's nobody getting left out. And, that's the brilliant thing about the festival. People can come along and try all these different things. And now that we understand that sitting's the new smoking, and we're not moving enough, and we're not outside enough, and we're paying a price for that, then you can easily learn to do that. And as you say, even put in 10 minutes, 50, you can just, because I always say to people, how much time have you got? Because I think we used to always think you need to have everything for an hour. But no, you don't. Small and often can be every bit as powerful as, big long runs a week. So it's something that if you can walk, then you can do that kind of running as well, can't you? It's really, you're not, it's not that kind of training that we used to see doing, and you're absolutely puffing and panting and bright red. It's just a completely different technique. And obviously when people come on your weekend, they can learn all about different shoes, etc. But you're right, the shoe then goes on for different reasons, doesn't it? Because they're always trying to sell us something, and it's like, if you don't have this shoe, and you can't do this, and all that we're doing is weakening parts of the body, as we've done with furniture. Much as I like furniture, we know that sitting down on the floor or in the sand. When I lived in Malta, we never had chairs. We always sat in the sand. But now you ask me to do that for a few hours, I would start to get uncomfortable because I'm out the habit again. I'm back here living inside in the winter, sitting on chairs. And the body pays a price. I don't know if you've seen the blue zones, but that was one of the things. The people that are just getting up and down all day, they're not doing any exercise per se, but just the way they live on a day-to-day basis keeps the body strong and supple. We're what we've bought into.
No, you're exactly, like even like right now I'm on this kind of bench in this cafe here, but I'm kind of sat with my legs crossed. I like ever watch Ram Dassey's talks where he sits. He always sits in these chairs with his legs crossed in like that kind of lotus position. Yes. And most chairs you can do it unless you've got like armrests. So it's just like a case of like rebuilding the habit. At home, get down on the floor. That's the best place, because then you can get into different positions, ground resting positions. It's another thing that we teach as part of the retreat. I teach that in my. It's always a big eye opener in my strong healthy running challenges. It's people like it was day 3. It's actually I'm running one today. So this morning it came in, and already I've got people saying, "Wow." Like I never realised, because I titled the video for today, you have loads of time for stretching and mobility, because people think they don't have time. It's like you mentioned time there, but we all have the same amount of time, and time's an interesting subject anyway. When you really get into what time actually is, it's like actually we all have way more time than we actually think. But yeah, that's a whole other topic. But like. Even like a lot of people are surprised when I'm coaching people, often 10 minutes. Sometimes I tell people to go for 10 minutes, 10-minute run. That's it. And that sounds like, to many people, it's like, well, what's the point in doing that? It's like, well, if you do 10 minutes every day, guess what? You've done over an extra hour of exercise. Now, it's a bit kind of nuanced, that this is usually with people that are training, they've got a competitive mindset and they're looking to do like a good time in a race or something. So what we'll do is, instead of trying to get them to run for, you need to run for an hour and a half every day, it's like, well, actually, let's just run for an hour, and then we'll just throw in 10 or 20 minutes in the evening if you feel good. And that way, it's like all of a sudden you've just built their training week up from, well, I can only run for half an hour a day. That's all the time I have. Well, it's like, actually, maybe you have half an hour in the evening if you don't want to watch Netflix. There's always, we all have time. It's just like, where do you want to use that time?
While you're watching Netflix.
Exactly, yeah. But the other thing as well is, yeah, exactly, yeah. The other thing as well is, like, I think people do get caught up in this, like, feeling like like you said, they have to do an hour. Like, this strength training in particular is one that I find interesting. People think they have to do like an hour in the gym, an hour of strength training. It's like, literally just do 5 or 10 minutes of specific running strength based stuff before you go and run, and then do 5 or 10 minutes afterwards if you want, of a bit of core work. And if you do that, like, every time you go and run, say you run 3 times a week, and you do, so it's 3 times a week you're running, and then you're doing 3 leg based strengthening and then 3 core strengthenings after your runs, stack it all together. So that could be 1 hour, 3 times per week, where you're getting, stronger, healthier, building up your cardiovascular system. If you throw some barefoot running in there, you're getting yourself all the benefits of the, the earthing and all these other benefits connected with the earth and everything. Yeah, so it's a lot simpler. But yeah, hopefully, I'm looking forward to Sky, because I've not really thought about what I'm going to cover yet, because obviously what we cover in the whole weekend is a lot more than what we'll put into what I'll do at Sky. But yeah, I'll just do what I normally do and just go with the flow, and just, I'm sure also, what people need, they'll get,
You'll be there for people to talk to, and this is one of the big things I keep talking about at both the festivals, is that, is actually getting a conversation. So when people see you and they recognise you and go, that's a strong running guy, they can come and ask you their own questions, because some people are quite shy. And at least what it does is that there's going to be a lot of people there that will be interested in what you have to say and what you have to teach. So it's kind of your target market. So it's a great opportunity for people that are maybe listening and think, well, I would like to find out more, to come and meet you. When's the date of your next retreat?
The 28th of May. Yeah, 28th of May, yeah.
Yes, there's plenty of time yet for people to be gone. And what's the cost?
I'm not actually sure off the top of my head. I think I better not say, because I'm not totally sure. Because Chris deals with that side. I don't care about the money. I just do it because I love doing it. But yeah, like you're saying at Sky, like, if people want to ask me questions, yeah, like, come and ask me. But the only warning I will give you is, if you ask me a running question, you might end up being stuck for a long time. So if you've had enough, just say it's okay. It's okay to tell me to stop talking, because sometimes I go off and I start telling you a story about, yeah.
But that's what's wonderful, is that natural passion. That's what you want. Listen, what about what you were talking about there, that you've got a free thing going on? Where can people find that?
So I run these challenges, strong, healthy running challenges. I run usually one a month. It's a free 10-day challenge. Anybody can join it. We just go through 10 days of simple exercises, running stuff, drills.
You got a website?
Yeah, just www.chrismacfitness.com. Just go onto my website. Yeah. Yes. And you'll see it should be on the front page. There should be somewhere to join it on there.
Brilliant. Yeah. That sounds fun.
Yeah, and yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, there's join it if you want. There's it's always a good little experience. I often have people come on there that very random, people that I actually know, and because it's a virtual thing, isn't it? But I'm like, often somebody pops up on there, and sometimes there's like 200 or 300 people in the group. So I'm like, oh, that person. Like, one time I didn't actually notice there was somebody in there from one of my old workplaces, and he was like, he was chatting quite personably on a lot of the stuff, and I thought, this guy is a really nice person, and then I realised, like, halfway through, I was like, of course it's you. So I phoned him up and I was like, how do you do? And then I actually saw him like a week later. I bumped into him and I was like, oh yeah. So, and he was, you had an appendix issue or something. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. So.
Oh, that's great. Well, people can find you there. That's awesome. They can meet you at Sky Festival, which is the last weekend in April. The early bird tickets are $99 for the 3 days, so you can get that up until I think about the 10th or the 12th of April. So anybody listening that wants to come along, and if you want to join that free challenge with Chris MacFitness, I'll put the address down there. So listen, it's fantastic to see you, and I really look forward to. I'm so excited about Skies. I love it there. What a beautiful landmass! And
it's amazing,
we're going to be using the Heb as a pop-up healing centre in the winter, in January and February. So you'll need to come up and teach. Have you still got your van?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Such a phenomenal van. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
listen, thanks a lot for your time, Hunt. And again, huge thanks for showing up at the festival and helping Heal Scotland.
Yeah. Let's keep spreading the word. Yeah, no, thanks, Lilia. And you keep spreading the word as well. It's great what you're doing. So I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to catching up with you in person.
Fantastic. Have a great run today. Ciao.
Cheers.